Well, thanks everybody for coming out. I'm Austin Essexton, the co-founder and CEO of Rinsed. At Rinsed, we build software for car washes to help them delight their customers and grow faster. And growth is what we're going to be talking about today. Specifically, how do you turn your raving fans into more revenue for your car wash with the customer-led growth playbook. So if you want to scan this QR code, this will allow you to submit a question at any point throughout the presentation. These will all go to our team, and we'll have 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A at the end of the session. We'll also be around all weekend at booth 1901. If you have any further questions, come find us on the show floor. So the theme for today's talk is, are car wash owners looking for growth in all the wrong places? So where does growth come from? How can we get more of it? And how can we make it sustainable for our businesses going into 2025? So first, we want to start with a little poll of where are you guys looking for growth? And what are some of the avenues that you're going to use? So if you could scan this QR code and answer the question, which growth strategies are you planning to implement this year? We've got paid advertising, loyalty and rewards programs, event and community engagement. Maybe you're thinking about a customer app, new offers and promotions, on-site signage, and reviews and reputation here. So we'll just give you a minute to answer that question, but really just what are your initiatives for 2025? Great. And then we'll have Rachel here on our team let us know what the results were.
Yeah, they're all still coming in. Thank you guys for voting. All right, we'll give it 5 more seconds. Great. So we are at 38% of our audience working on paid advertising this year, 64% with a loyalty and rewards program, 46% with events and community engagement, 38% with a customer app, 50% with new offers and promotions, 35% with new on-site signage, and 49% with reviews and reputation.
All right. So it sounds like people want to implement a lot of these next year. So we really want to talk about what we think are some of the highest leverage and maybe lowest hanging fruit for you to focus on and get the most bang for your buck. So at a high level, one of Rinsed goals for this year is to help our customers achieve 10% same-store sales growth. And first, I want to zoom out and just look at the industry data that we've collected from our over 3,000 washes that we help serve around the country on just how is growth doing today. And happy to report, we just released this last week, our industry growth data. Same-store sales, so this is only locations that have been open for over a year. In the first quarter, that revenue growth was 12.4%, which is phenomenal and a huge testament to everyone in this room, the growth of the industry, and how great of a fit this express model often is for the consumers. But we want to break down that 12.4% a little bit more because we know, subscription revenue has been a huge driver of this, and that continues to grow at mid-teens rates. But the big change in the last 2 quarters has been the inflection in retail revenue. So 8 quarters prior to the end of last year, retail had been on a negative trend. And I think we largely attributed this to the transition to subscription. But that couldn't continue forever. Not everyone's going to be a subscriber. And so I think we need to really rethink where is some of the growth going forward going to go. The subscription trend isn't slowing. In fact, we're seeing new locations ramp membership faster than ever. This is something we track of how quickly do you ramp active members over the first 18 months of a new site launch, which I think speaks to consumers really understanding the Express Unlimited model. And so that's great to know. But how do we keep also driving retail revenue growth? And I think without proper measurement, often running our business can look like this, where we're trying a bunch of things. We can maybe measure a couple intermediate inputs like car count or membership count, but those aren't actually inputs into our business overall. And we don't really know if we pull here, what that's going to affect in terms of revenue. So I'd like to suggest that we start to look at our business more like this. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty detail of everything, but what I want you to take away is we have this funnel of retail opportunities in the driveway, and there's really three sources that are going to feed that funnel. We've got net new customer acquisition, which I think we all understand. These are people who have never experienced your wash. How do you get them to try it for the first time? But then also importantly, we have repeat retail customers, and we have former members who they've fallen out of the membership program, but are still coming back and becoming retail opportunities. So by bisecting our growth into each of these buckets, I think we're going to get a much clearer picture of what's actually driving the change in retail revenue. And then as we go down this funnel, obviously conversion rate in the driveway is very important for moving people into that membership. Your average price and the average length of membership ultimately gives you your lifetime value. And then on the retail side, what's your average price per wash? So here are the three buckets for retail traffic. I'd like just with a quick show of hands, who thinks that the greatest driver of growth has been new retail customers? So net new people to the wash. Okay, not many. How about former members? And they're driving on retail traffic. A little more. And what about repeat retail? Great, so that's the most vote. So this surprised us. New retail, net new customers drove less than 10% of the growth in your retail revenue. So a huge portion is actually coming from people who have already experienced your wash. So I think this is really good news for a lot of people in this room. Each year this car wash show seems to get bigger and bigger. There's a lot of concern about new entrants in the industry, overbuilding, competition. But those two columns on the right-hand side, these are already your customers. You can cultivate those relationships with them, increase their frequency and monetization, and that really is a great defense for when someone moves in across the street. You don't need to be battling for that marginal new customer in order to continue to grow your business. And we think that this focus on former members and repeat retail is some of the lowest hanging fruit to drive growth for car washes today. So what this looks like in the business equation is really this bottom half here, and how are we refilling that funnel with high intent customers who have already experienced your wash, and how do we optimize that? So here are the 6 customer-led growth strategies that we're going to talk about today. And we've handed out some pamphlets with a recap of these, and I would encourage people as they think about 2025 and their goals to just pick one or two, and hopefully in the next 3 days you can find something on the floor. Maybe it's Rinsed, maybe it's something else that can help you implement these strategies to help you achieve your growth goals. But that's going to be NPS and reputation, rewards, both retail and member, retail conversion in the driveway, driving additional membership value, implementing family plans and multi-vehicle plans, and then connecting with your customer directly through a customer app. So these are the ones we're going to run through today. So starting with Net Promoter Score and reputation. I think the great news is you're already doing an amazing job on this. So this was an ICA survey looking at car wash members, and they're already ranking your car wash on par with a sit-down restaurant. So they love the product, and the question is, how can we continue to cultivate this relationship and turn these fans into salespeople and advocates for our business? And this aligns with the first-party data that Rinse has collected. So this is based on hundreds of thousands of Net Promoter Score surveys that we've sent out. And 64 is a really industry-leading. And it's a huge credit to you all and to just the focus on hospitality that this industry has. But when we take a step back, we're literally asking customers how likely are they to refer a friend or family member, and yet we're not giving them any easy way to do that. And that's really what Rinsed wants to help change in 2025. And I think we all kind of know that happy customers lead to greater revenue, but now we're able to actually measure it. So customers who gave you a 7 or higher on the Net Promoter Score survey, over the first 12 months, we saw you collect 41% more revenue from those customers. So this is a huge opportunity for everyone who's giving you a 1 to 6. Can we look at the why behind that, and can we address it? And one extreme example, we had an operator who the owner would actually call people as soon as he got a review that was a 1 to 6 and ask them, was there something that they could do better? And I'm not suggesting that that's going to scale for each and every one of your businesses, but that idea around customer obsession really leads to incredible changes in revenue growth. And like I said, this is the standard survey, but how do we actually make it actionable? Well, some low-hanging fruit is those 9s and 10s. Let's make sure we're asking them for a review of our business, because this is going to help the next high-intent customer choose your location over the one across the street. And then the 1 through 6s, again, let's follow up and address those. And let's also measure it at a site level, because we see service issues just jump off the page when we're looking at the review data by a site level. And something very easy to collect and analyze, and then make sure your managers are held accountable to. So how does NPS fit into our growth equation? Well, we mentioned that Google reviews are going to help our top of funnel and help on the margin people select your wash over others. And then increasing overall member satisfaction, that's going to really drive LTV in the form of increasing the length of membership and decreasing churn. Now I'm super excited to talk about rewards. This is one that we've been increasingly focused on over the last 12 months, I would say, as we realize that often folks' membership, it feels a little bit tapped out, and they're wanting to know, how do I get more opportunities? Tyler Slaughter at Camel was emblematic of this. He said, we've somewhat maxed out our unlimited growth. We don't have enough retail customers keep coming through the door. How do we find a way to drum up additional retail traffic? And so here's what Rinsed helped them do. We helped them implement the Camel Rewards program. And this was a few parts. It was buy 3 washes, get your next one free, a birthday wash, an anniversary wash. All these things that made them feel, even if they're not a member, that Camel and the team cared about them and were making their experience special versus the other wash down the street. And this had a huge impact on the business. So in the first 20 months of this program, 28,000 retail customers joined, and of those, almost 7,000 became unlimited members, which is a 24% conversion rate. So often, not only are we getting those retail customers in more often, but this can be an on-ramp to membership. If they're coming more often, they're feeling good about your brand, they're that much more likely to convert to a happy member. But rewards aren't just for retail. This is also really effective on your membership side. So here, Monty's Express implemented a program where after 6 months of membership, your next month was going to be 50% off. And after 12 months, your next month would be just $1. This was all automated. Once they set it up, they weren't having to manually switch these customers. But this had a huge impact on retention. And importantly, they were letting people know throughout their membership journey that they were earning towards these rewards, that they were a valued customer and that they were 2 months away from getting a month for just $1. Someone is way less likely to churn if they know that they're a month away from that free month. And then lastly, we mentioned referrals, but this was a fun one. So Thomas Ma at Breeze Through actually gave away a Ford Bronco, and the way that people gathered entries was things like wash frequency, becoming a member, and then they got multipliers when they were able to refer others. He says we were blown away by how many referrals we were able to generate, especially with us not having referrals prior to this. And we think that this is just the beginning for referrals, so we're really excited to roll out an upgraded points-based reward system for both members and retail customers. This is going to allow you the flexibility to do everything from double points during low hours of the day to really rewarding your members when they refer. So can we give you your next month free if you make a referral? Or can we give you $5 off your membership for every month that the person you referred remains active. And we think this is going to be a huge force multiplier in terms of taking those really happy customers and making them, again, effectively part of your sales force. So where does this fit in the growth equation? Well, retail rewards, that's going to really improve both the frequency but also the conversion rate, as we saw from the Camel example. Referral rewards, again, that's going to drive just new memberships. And then rewarding people based on the tenure of their membership, that's going to increase the LTV. And I want to talk a little bit about retail conversion. So every retail customer is a potential member, and let's talk about some of the ways we can help convert more of them in the driveway. So this was a really interesting data. With LPR for the first time, we can actually look at what is the value of a retail customer versus the value of a member. I think we've always known it's much higher, but now because we have perfect information on our retail customers, we can really tell you even a repeat retail customer, so this is one that has come more than once, their value over 36 months is expected to be $106. Your average member over 36 months, the value we expect in terms of them is $440. So that uptick is really the value of conversion in the driveway. So membership is not just a nice to have, this is really what's driving this industry forward. But this is a pretty stark reminder of just the importance of not missing retail opportunities in the driveway as well. Now, how do we convert those members? It's not enough to just put some hardware there and have an offer and hope that people convert. So we see this again and again, that it's really about culture and focus on your salespeople in the driveway that drive accountability and drive results in terms of conversion rate. So the difference between unattended conversion, typically less than 5%, to a real sales culture that has accountability is pitching every single car with an offer where we're consistently seeing people achieve 15% plus conversion. Now, the industry average that we see for conversion rate across all of our customers is 8%. When people are given a presentation with our Sales Path tool, we're seeing a 16% conversion. Now, it's not going to always make sense to staff every single lane, and we'll talk about that as well. But I think almost across the board, we're missing too many opportunities by not having people in the driveway and not having them sufficiently trained with the right tools and accountability methods to make sure that every car is getting pitched. And this data is on over 2 million presentations given by Sales Path. So there's big numbers supporting this 16% here. So what does this mean for staffing? So I'm not going to go through this in too much detail, but if you think about the difference between a retail customer and a member, that's an uplift of over $300. Even if you only have 10 retail opportunities in an hour, let's say you're able to convert at 10% higher when you actually staff the lanes, that means you're going to get one more member. Assume a 50% profit margin on that customer for the incremental uplift, that's $160. That's about a 5 times ROI on putting that person in the driveway. So I think way too often we're leaving lanes unattended, and there's a huge opportunity to drive further retail conversion by really measuring how many opportunities do we have and do we need staffing here, and making this data-driven, not just a guess that we don't need somebody until 10:30. How is that changing over time? How is it changing seasonally? And can we optimize that to make sure we're not missing opportunities? But conversion doesn't end in the driveway. So that 8%, that's only part of the number. There's really a bunch of opportunities after the customer leaves the wash to convert them as well. So have you gathered contact information from them? And are you engaging with them and reaching out between the visits to try to ultimately convert them to membership? So really, it should be that 8% plus whatever percent you're able to convert before the next time they come, is how I think we should increasingly be thinking about that conversion rate. And just an example here of how you collect that retail contact information. So our most common offers are either get 50% off your next wash or your next wash free. Here's a case study. This chain collected over 50,000 phone numbers. 7,000 of those converted to new members, and they saw a 4x increase in the conversion rate to membership of people who joined this retail text club versus those who didn't. So just your ability to stay top of mind and not just be waiting for a customer to come back into your wash makes an enormous difference. So where's retail conversion in the growth equation? Well, first of all, investing in people, culture, and process is key to your conversion rate. Secondly, can we make sure we capture that contact information and get additional opportunities with that customer when they're off premise? And what is that additional conversion rate that we're able to achieve there? Now I want to talk a little bit about optimizing the membership value. So you have this member. How do we make sure that we're optimizing every part of their journey to increase lifetime value? Well, one of the things we see work really well is upsells. So often you're introducing a new package. Say you're rolling out graphene. That's great for the new customers who are signing up for the first time. But what about your thousands of customers who are already on your legacy package? What's the most efficient way to move them up to these higher priced and typically more profitable for the operator packages? So what we see be a great tool for this is what we call our upsell, where you're offering just through text or email those customers to try the top package for the next 60 days. They're going to continue to pay their same price, and then unless they opt out, we'll automatically switch them to that full price top package. So this is once you've set it up, a super easy way to automate the increase in membership lifetime value and average member price. And we've seen some interesting data here. We see a 37% increase in cash flow for members who accept those offers. This is driven not just by the higher price, but also by the higher retention of both people who accept and even people who don't accept those offers. So I think just that ability to engage, the ability to give them more flexibility with their membership has a huge impact. And we see that in higher retention of people who engage with these membership offers. And then this one should be table stakes. When somebody goes to quit, are we looking up their membership and are we potentially offering them a lower price to stay in the plan? This is found dollars for many operators. And if we're not dynamically offering them a downsell and just letting them walk away, we're losing a huge amount of revenue. So we're typically able to save 12 to 15% of those members who go to quit with an offer that's tailored just for them. And that means keeping them profitably. So if someone is an Uber driver going 15 times a month, they're not going to get the same offer as somebody who is going 2 times a month. And we see that people don't change their wash habits. They're really going to be consistent before and after that offer. And finally, we have a huge number of former members in this industry. So for whatever reason, they're not on the membership program right now. Over half of them, that's just going to be because their credit cards declined. But how do we re-engage them in an automated way? So Rinsed helps manage 9 million active members today, but we also see over 15 million former members for our customers. So this, again, is super low-hanging fruit and something that I'd encourage everyone to just set up a program where you can set it and forget it. And this is typically, once somebody has left the membership, can we set up a drip campaign so we're making sure that we're staying top of mind, and can we actually tailor that for what they did when they were a member, how often they used it, what type of plan they were on, and hopefully we know something about why they quit as well. If they called in or if they used one of our forms, did we gather information as to why membership wasn't a fit, and can we use that when trying to give them this offer to come back? And here's where membership value fits in the growth equation. We've got our win-back campaigns, our upsells, and our downsells driving LTV. Now I want to talk about family plans. So 59% of households own more than 2 vehicles, and often we're really not meeting them where they are. This is the most requested feature by far in our NPS surveys, is people want to be able to add additional vehicles to their account. And the data is clear that this really works. So from a stickiness perspective, we see the duration of family plan members is 24% longer than non-family plan members. So people are joining, they're staying, and you're increasing your revenue significantly. But the importance of a family plan is not just making it easy for the customer, so they should be able to, just in a few clicks, add a vehicle, but also making it easy for your team to implement this. So if this slows you down in the driveway, then that's not necessarily a good trade-off. So both things have to be easy to successfully implement a family plan program. And now, where do family plans fit in the growth equation? Well, this is really going to be all about driving more lifetime value for our members by giving them this dynamic plan they've been asking for, and really meeting them and their needs for all the vehicles in their family. And now, lastly, this is one we're really excited about. We're just launching it here at the show. But we've talked about Net Promoter Score, rewards, upgrades, family plans. But how do the customers actually implement these things? How do we make it easy enough for them to implement these? Well, the easiest way to find them is to be on their phone, and that's what the customer app does. So historically, we've had a customer portal. This has been a huge success. We've seen over 1 million successful logins. Every month, we have over 150,000 active users on this. And now, for the first time, Rinst is offering a branded customer app as an add-on to our CRM. So this is going to be your brand, going to live on your customer's phone and give you this direct connection with them. So in addition to email and SMS, now you're going to be able to enable push notifications and really drive each parts of this growth equation through some of the tools that we've talked about today. And we think that each of these will just be that much stronger when implemented in an app. So here are the customer-led strategies to drive growth. As I mentioned, 3 of these are new for Rinst this year. We're really excited about them. Hopefully you can take those placards on your table, think about what are the ones that you want to drive. Happy to chat more about how Rinst can help you implement those. Or I hope everybody finds something at the car wash show these next 3 days to help them hit their 2025 revenue goals. So with that, if you want to fill out this survey for what strategies you're going to implement, and then we'll take a couple questions.
While everyone fills that out, we do have some questions to start with, Austin. So I'll give you the first one. It is, how can you defend against new competitors in small towns?
So the question was, how can you defend against new competitors in small towns?
Correct, yep.
Well, I think this is one where having a strategy that relies on getting that only net new customers into the wash, that's where you're going to be competing directly with that new customer. And maybe they're more well capitalized than you. Maybe they have a really large footprint. I think where you can differentiate yourself is by cultivating those relationships with your existing customers through a bunch of these methods that we mentioned.
Great. Next question is about upsells. At the end of the trial time, the plan goes up to the next unless they opt out. Is the opposite available? Can a plan return to prior unless they opt in?
That's a good question. I don't think we do that right now, but that's a good idea.
Great. Next question. How does the automation of these systems work across POS providers, specifically Sunny's?
Yeah, great question. So at Rinst, we connect with your existing point of sale and give you, all these tools that sit on top of it. So we connect with every major point of sale, including Sunny's, and everything that we talked about today is available for all the major point of sales.
Thank you. What do you think about pricing tiers for family plans?
So the question was, what do we think about pricing tiers for family plans? I'd say the most common that we see is 20 to 25% off each additional vehicle. And often we see people only offer the family plan for their top package. That mostly just to simplify things. But yeah, that's probably our most popular.
Great. Next question is, do retail rewards hinder membership growth efforts?
Yeah, the question was, do retail rewards hinder membership growth? And I think what we've seen is the exact opposite of that. So, the fact that at Camel they converted 28% of those retail reward customers. Again, we saw a 4x increase in conversion for people who joined the Text Club versus those who didn't. So it's really about getting the customer more comfortable with you, your brand, value of the product. Maybe they are a little bit subscription shy, but you can really get them comfortable as they use your product more over time and build trust.
Great. What do you think the best pricing structure is to increase memberships? How much should your membership plan be versus a single wash?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the best is, but what we see on average is about 1.7 times the single wash price. So make it easy for your salespeople to say that by just using it 2 times, they're going to be saving money, and that tends to be pretty well optimized across the board.
Thank you. You mentioned encouraging customers who scored a 9 or 10 on their post-wash survey to leave a strong review on Google. How can we effectively request that?
Yeah, so lots of survey tools allow you to do this automatically. Rinsed also has, our car wash CRM has net promoter scores built in. And so there you're going to be able to automatically ask them to leave that Google review based on their home site. And then you're also going to get that data in your dashboard around where were the reviews, where are the service areas at a site level. And we find it's really important to drill down on that survey data at the site level because otherwise it's not actionable. If you see somebody who says that they had a terrible experience with a salesperson, but you don't know where that happened, then it's hard to improve that.
Great. Is a family of 4 vehicles count? Does a family of 4 vehicles count as one membership? How does Wrench differentiate true membership numbers?
Yeah, does a family of 4 vehicles count as one membership? No, we would count that as 4 memberships. It's just you're going to have a slightly lower average price. But again, that's going to be made up for. If we talk about a 20% discount for those additional cars, that's going to be made up for by that 24% increase in the lifetime of those vehicles.
Can the branded apps be customized? Can we add more pages or information for customers than what Rinsed offers?
So we're just rolling this out. We think there'll be additional customizations in the future, but really we want to make sure it has a look and feel of your brand. It's going to be your logo on their phone, and it should feel like everything is coming from you. That's the goal. We just want to be a tool to facilitate you having that direct connection with your customers.
Great. Lots more questions coming in. Does the same strategy apply to full service, express, and in-bay washes?
Yeah, does the same strategy apply to full service, express, and in-bay? I think absolutely many of these same things apply, especially on the retail side and the reward side. I think on in-bay there's going to be less of a focus on membership, but that almost means it's even more important to have some kind of rewards program and have some way to connect with those retail customers. Because if you don't have people there at your site, how do you cultivate that relationship with the customer absent that?
Great. How does changing plans automatically work if you're using DRB, first month for discount, or any other special? Does Rinsed interface with DRB?
Yep. Yeah, so each point of sale is a little bit different in exactly how the plans are set up. So if you're with Rinsed, you'll be assigned a customer success manager, and they'll give you detailed instructions about how to set up the plans in your point of sale to enable us to do all this automation. But the goal is really for you to set up these programs and then not have to change anything on the back end. So when we talk about an upsell where someone is for 60 days going to enjoy your top package and then automatically be switched to that price, that's going to all happen without you or anyone on your team having to touch the membership.
Great. Can family plans be set up to be billed on the same day each month for each additional membership?
Yeah, so the way the family plans are set up is they will all get billed at the same time.
Great. When will the data on the dashboard accurately display family plan members with DRB It's currently only showing it as one member.
So I think we have a few different ways that we show it. So I encourage you to reach out to your CSM because we've improved this recently to more accurately show both vehicles and then parent accounts.
Great. You mentioned sales path earlier increased conversion significantly. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, and we'll just do one more after this. Okay?
Great.
Yeah, so Sales Path is our one of our newer products. Kyle and the team are here. This is tablets in the driveway. So your salesperson are using them for presentation. We record every pitch. We give you a real-time leaderboard. And this really helps drive sales culture and accountability in the driveway. And that's why we see that much higher conversion rate. So again, across 2 million pitches that people have given with the Sales Path tablets, we're achieving 15% conversion rate.
Great. Let me find one more in here. Can Sales Path work on pre-existing tablets?
Yep. So you can bring your own device, or we have certain ones that we recommend as well. But it's just a web app. So yeah, happy to come by booth 1901 and happy to teach you more about that. But thank you everybody for spending the morning with me. Super excited to hopefully help you achieve your 2025 growth goals.